It's Friday the 16th of September and this is, again, second video I'm doing today. What I'm trying to do is have a day off and then catch up on the day that I'm doing videos just to give me a little bit of respite because obviously I'm still recuperating. I'm getting better and better by the day, but yeah, it still takes it out of me. But if you haven't seen my previous video, I've put a link in the right hand corner. It's where I discuss the fact that Harry has been allowed and granted permission to wear his military uniform at the grandchildren's vigil. Anyway, today's video I'm going to be talking about the titles. Now I did a previous video a couple of days ago which basically said that technically Archie and Lilibet are Prince and Princess and that there had been no news with regards to that change or that any letters patent are pending or will be pending. Well, that seems to have been dashed out the water. It's been claimed that as they are now Prince and Princess, following the Queen's death and Charles becoming king, that they will automatically get Prince and Princess, and only a letters patent can change that. Some newspapers have been reporting that Harry and Meghan are absolutely furious that their children will not be granted HRH titles because that is the decision that apparently has now been made, that they will be known as Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, but they will not be entitled to his or her Royal Highness titles. That's the HRH titles. Now remember, Harry and Meghan are effectively HRH, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, but they are not allowed to use their HRHs. They've not been stripped of them, but they are not allowed to use them in any capacity. It seems that their children will not be getting HRH titles. Now, that is because they are not working royals. Now, some would say Beatrice and Eugenie are not working royals, yet they have HRH status. Now, I have to stress, this isn't officially confirmed by the palace. It may very well be just royal experts waffling along as some people waffle along. But reports claim that following tense talks between King Charles over recent days, that Harry and Meghan have been left furious that their children will not get HRH titles. Now, this is where it gets a bit tricky because it is a source. A source told The Sun that Harry and Meghan were worried about the security issues and being Prince and Princess brings them the right to have certain levels of royal security. There have been a lot of talks over the past week. Bear in mind what's been happening over the past week. The source added, but they have been left furious that Archie and Lilibet cannot take the title HRH. That is the agreement. They can be Prince and Princess, but not HRH because they are not working royals. Technically, they are entitled to the titles following the death of the Queen as part of the rules set out by King George V in 1917, which limited the number of royals using the title HRH. Now, we've got to think back at when Diana and Fergie divorced Charles and Andrew. They were no longer allowed to use HRH. Of course, Prince and Princess will look good in America, won't they? And is highly marketable, some would say. Letting Archie and Lilibet use the titles Prince and Princess, some would say, is a compromise of them not being allowed to use their HRHs. But we all know the now infamous details that Meghan spilled on Oprah when asked if it was important for her that Archie be called a prince, and she said she doesn't have any attachment to the grandeur of official titles. It does seem rather odd though, doesn't it, that she made this massive fuss about Archie not being prince and HRH when in fact they're not allowed to use their HRH either. It's all about security and money for them, I think. You know, it's sad really when your own children are commodities. And I also find it extremely sad that these talks are taking place allegedly at this very, very difficult time for King Charles. Can you imagine everything that he's going through right now? The accession, the visiting every part of the four nations of United Kingdom, everything that he has to do, yet he's still having to discuss whether his grandchildren get HRHs. Quite frankly, if I was Charles, no, not happening. But of course, it's a diplomacy matter, isn't it? Can't upset the Sussexes, can we? But I have to stress that news of titles for Archie and Lilibet will not be announced until until after a period of mourning for the Queen, so it could all change. But as it stands at the moment, people are predicting that they will be allowed to keep Prince and Princess, but not be titled HRH. And I'm going to reference King Charles' speech when he said, "Today I also want to express my love for Harry and Meghan as they continue to build their lives overseas." That is a very strategic move. And remember, Charles wants a slimmed down monarchy. For example, Edward and Sophie didn't take titles for their children. However, they let them decide at 18 should they want to have them. That also may very well be an option that is given. Princess Anne's children, Zara and Peter Phillips, haven't got HRH titles either. They weren't even given Prince and Princess at Anne's request. So it does seem rather odd that there's all this fuss going on right now when everything should really be about the Queen. It seems bonkers to me that there could be discussions behind closed walls about titles and uniforms, when really can this not wait until after the 10 days of mourning? I refer yet again to the tweet that Omid Scooby made on the 8th of May, as we expected Harry and Meghan forgo the courtesy title of their child, all part of giving them a normal life as possible. It will be interesting to see what happens after the 10 days of mourning about these titles, and I'm sure there will be lots of speculation on whether or not they will be Prince and Princess and whether or not they will be HRH. I personally, in my own opinion, don't think they will be granted HRH, just purely for the fact they are not working members of the royal family, and that this particular anger is only from a source. Now, it's not a palace source, otherwise it would have said a palace source. It's just purely a source. Where this source has come from, we don't know. But as we know in all of this, it will be revealed at some point, because it always is. I would love to know where this source has come from. Has it come from the royal family camp, or has it come from the Sussex camp? We both know that a lot of information comes from the Sussex camp to try and slate the royal family. Would they have done this at such an important time? Would they have released this to the media in the 10 days of mourning? Would you put it past them? Would it make sense for Archie and Lilibet to have HRHs when their own parents can't use their HRHs? Doesn't make sense, does it? And a lot of people would say they chose to step away, so they shouldn't have the automatic principles of what happens within the royal family. Everything needs to be debated on whether or not they get what they want. This isn't a normal situation for the royal family, because if they were part of the royal family, it would be automatic. But it's not. They left. They chose to make that decision and they left. Now, a lot of people are speculating this is all down to security and whether or not, if Archie and Lilibet were HRH, would they be automatically granted security? No, because Beatrice and Eugenie don't have security. Only on official royal duties do they have security, paid for by the taxpayer. I think what we've got to understand is that, in principle, we know that King Charles wants a slimmed down monarchy. Will that extend to Harry and Meghan's children receiving HRH titles, and in fact Prince and Princess? Would it be a compensation to give them Prince and Princess but not HRH? Would that be a compromise? Would Harry and Meghan accept that as a compromise? You've got to understand that these two said that they didn't want titles for their children, then turned around and said, well, actually we do, because it comes with security. It doesn't come with security because Beatrice and Eugenie don't get that. Prince Harry told Oprah that being a prince is a trap. He said that Charles and William are trapped because they were princes. Wouldn't it be slightly hypocritical of him to stamp his feet for his children not to get the same titles as he did when he said it trapped him? As always, this is speculation. It's a source, and I have to stress that it is a source. We will only get the real story once the 10 days mourning has passed, and I can't wait actually to hear what is going to happen. So I would love to know your thoughts on this matter. Do you think that it's a compromise letting Archie and Lilibet have Prince and Princess but not HRH? Do you think they should have neither? Do you think that they should have both? I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell and also that like button. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of my followers for all the tips and all the emails, DMs that everybody sends to me. It really is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for watching once again.